This is Startalk.
Hey, I'm Chuck Nice, and I'm sitting here with Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And, we have a very special Startalk All-Stars episode for you. And that is because what you're going to hear actually came out of the Startalk All-Stars Leap into Launch Party, which happened on February 29th, a year ago. And I'm sitting here with Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was a leap year.
See,
look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, am I smart? Yeah.
And a cool thing happened at the end of the party, which was it was you, Mike Massimino, who is another good friend of yours, Dr. David Grinspoon, who is Dr. Funky Spoon.
Funky Spoon on Twitter, yes.
Funky Spoon on Twitter. And we all sat down.
Mike Massimino is Astro Mike.
Astro Mike on Twitter.
Yeah.
And we all sat down. And we were drinking some drinks and just really talking about pretty much everything.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a cool conversation. We talked about everything from what actually makes space travel, which you had a very interesting point of view because most of us just kind of go up in the air and then we come back down. That's not really space travel.
No. and for me, even just going into Earth orbit is not space travel.
Right.
You're not really going anywhere.
Right.
You're driving around the block. And you know how far it is to space, to where the space station is? It's about the distance from here to Washington, D.C.
Really?
Except straight up.
It doesn't sound so impressive when you say it like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so now you can look at a schoolroom globe and ask how high above a schoolroom globe is it? It's about 3/8 of an inch.
So if you took 3/8 of an inch and you hovered a little model right above a schoolroom globe.
That would be space, according to NASA and everybody's state of mind. Right.
Well, so we're barely even in the water on the beach. We're the kids
on the shores of the cosmic ocean. We have barely touched the foam.
So we kind of have a toe in the foam, and that's about it.
Foam, not even all 10.
Damn.
Right.
God.
That's just so. This is why I wrote a whole book called. Well, I wrote a book with the title "Delusions of Space Enthusiasts."
Right.
Okay. No. The title was "Failure to Launch."
Failure to launch.
And then the publisher said we can't have the word failure.
Right. Don't put that in the title.
Right. So they renamed it, but in there I just talk about here's a reality check on everybody's sense of what space is. So they renamed it "Space Chronicles: Facing the Ultimate Frontier."
Right.
But so I tried to put a reality check on everybody's statement that they've made about space.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So we talked about that. We talked about so many other things that, we just got into it. Basically, we were sitting around getting a little toasty and shooting the crap.
Chewing space fat.
Chewing space fat. And so now some of you may have already seen this on StartalkAllAccess.com. For those of you who are unfamiliar with StartalkAllAccess.com, it is a subscription service that allows you to see everything that we do commercial free. It also allows you to see what you're going to listen to right now, which is exclusive original content that you won't find anywhere else. And you can also, once you subscribe, watch everything that we do on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. So it's a very cool service. StartalkAllAccess.com. You should subscribe and check it out. So if you want to know what it feels like to sit down and have a drink with an astronaut, an astrobiologist, and an astrophysicist who just happens to be the world's foremost science educator, and also some other dude, then this is for you.
And a comedian.
And a comedian. Yeah, and some comedian. This is for you. So with that,
let's do this.
Let's do this. All right, so we are here at the Startalk All-Stars party, and I'm sitting right now with the actual all-star of all-stars, which is our progenitor, and that would be Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Are you not?
Thanks, Dad.
Are you not? Are you not the progenitor of Startalk, please?
It sounds so antiseptic.
Well, you know what? I don't want to call you Dad. I got father issues. No, here's the deal. So, I thought it'd be great to, first of all, end with some entertainment, and that's why we have Dr. Funky Spoon here.
Okay.
And I also
that's his Twitter handle, Dr.
That's his Dr. Funky
This
Spoon.
is David Grinspoon.
Dr. David Grinspoon.
Tweeting as Dr. Funky Spoon.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, one of the people that helped make the party good because they gave us some free alcohol and that was the.
Is that how that goes?
That's how it goes.
Is that how we roll?
So here's the
was
deal.
good.
Here's what I thought would be a great way to end. So we have Ninkasi Brewing Company, Ground Control, which is an imperial stout that they actually donated to us. And the great thing about this beer, maybe it's great, maybe it's not, I'm not sure. They took strains of yeast to outer space. They grew those strains of yeast in outer space, brought them back to Earth, and then brewed beer.
Wait. So, Mike, was that on your mission?
No.
Did you brew beer? Is that why the Hubble telescope got messed up on your mission?
Neil, if you'd be really pissed at us if we were fooling around making
That
beer.
is so right.
So, no, we did not do that.
It was not. Okay, let the record show that your mission did not brew
We
beer.
were busy helping out the astronomy world.
Fixing the Hubble. Okay.
So one of the cool
But
things.
where did this come from, man? What is this? What flight was it on? Where's their proof?
You want some documentation, okay?
What
Because
flight?
you.
I like the way Chuck says
Well,
it.
no.
What? You want documentation?
No. So here's the deal. The reason why I have you here is because allegedly there are only two things in this room that have been to outer space: this beer and you.
All right.
Okay. And we can't drink you, so that's why this is here.
All right.
It's good beer too.
Okay, it's very dense. It's got like a Guinness kind of
Yes.
density and viscosity to it.
It tastes good and it works.
And it's got a sustained bubbly head on top, as a Guinness would.
Right.
This is a little sweeter than Guinness.
Yeah.
It has the bitter backdrop, but on the front end, there's a sweetness that cuts the bitterness in the way you might drop a touch of sugar into coffee.
I don't know why, but I want to have sex with this beer now. I'm not sure what the hell Neil is talking about, but I want to date this beer. Okay. So now the other.
These are my tasting notes on the beer, that's all.
So no, actually, everything you said was actually spot on. And in addition to the fact that, of course, you being an astrophysicist, you being an astronaut, Dr. David Grinspoon is an astrobiologist, and so all
Why you call him doctor and not us doctor?
because he's Dr. Funky Spoon. So if you,
It's in his moniker.
That's right. It's in
He's got
here.
a point. He's got
There
a
you
point.
go. When you come up with
If I go Dr. DeGrasse, then you'll be calling me Dr. DeGrasse.
Dr. DeGrasse,
But it's not. It's just Neil deGrasse.
So I thought it would be very cool if, the fact that all three of you tie into this, that we were all here to close out our Startalk All-Stars party. And David's going to sing a little song that kind of ties us all in, which is the Astrobiologist Blues.
Astrobiology blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, blues is my favorite musical genre.
Really?
Yes.
Hopefully it still will be after the summer.
I know. I was gonna say, like, I hate to disappoint you. Yeah.
The beer might help.
By the way, just to get some of his resume on the table,
Yes.
He cut his teeth thinking about and writing about Venus. He's got a book. You can buy a book about Venus that he wrote.
Yes.
And Venus is like 900 degrees
Yes, it
Fahrenheit.
is.
Ain't no life on Venus. So I don't know how he got from Venus to astrobiology. How did that happen?
Well, it's a long story.
Okay,
but,
so stop. But never mind then.
No, I mean, Venus started out as just a fine planet like the rest of them, and something went wrong.
Something went bad on Venus.
Astrobiologists really want to figure that one out. you know?
Okay. All
Don't
right.
let this happen to your planet.
Wow.
Venus has a runaway greenhouse effect.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I tell you something quick about Venus?
Go ahead.
I once calculated how long it would take to cook a 16-inch pepperoni pizza just sticking it out on the windowsill on Venus.
Just like.
And I got 9 seconds.
Wow.
Right, because it's how high the temperature is and how dense the atmosphere is.
That almost seems long.
Well, so here's what I'm saying. So at 100 times the atmospheric pressure, nearly 100 times, the molecules would be imparting heat to the pizza faster than they would on Earth, just because of the air pressure. Forget the temperature, just because of the air pressure.
Right.
You add the higher temperature, 900 degrees, it's like hotter than a pizza oven.
Yes.
This would cook the pizza, just put it on the windowsill.
9 seconds?
I'm all proud of this. So I tweeted 9 seconds, okay? Then Nathan Meerwald called me out. This is a physicist turned chef. Yes.
Whoa.
He took all the laboratory equipment that is in a chemist and physicist lab and brought it into his kitchen. And so now when he cools food, he brings it down to like liquid nitrogen temperature. Or when he cuts food, he'll use a microtome, which cuts one cell layered thick of food that it evaporates on your tongue when it tastes.
Wow.
So
I'm not going to lie. He sounds like a dick.
so he's got a whole.
You're not running to that
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm
going to that restaurant.
I'm not trying to eat at his place.
So
We're endorsing the beer.
Yeah.
Not.
here's what I'm saying.
Not the microtome.
Here's what I'm saying. So I thought I was badass coming up with the 9 seconds. He said, you left out a factor in your calculation, and that is the radiative effect of the atmosphere itself. Because the atmosphere is at a temperature, so it's not simply the movement of the molecules of the air, it is radiating infrared photons at the pizza. In addition to the molecules hitting. This is why when someone walks between you and a fire, you instantly feel
cooler. You're right. You're cooler.
It's not that the air changed temperature in a fraction of a second.
No.
The photons,
They're blocking.
infrared photons,
blocking the heat.
are getting blocked by the person who walked between you and the fire.
Right.
Okay, so if you add that in, it takes 2 seconds to cook the pizza.
All right. So now here's
I
what
was like way off.
This is what I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna say this.
I was way off.
I'm gonna say this.
9 seconds is a piece of charcoal.
All I'm gonna say is
totally.
your entire story just confirmed he's a dick.
What? no, what he did was.
No, I'm sorry. No, I think that's actually fascinating.
What he did was, I mean, what's fun? If I love being corrected by more science.
Oh, yo, that's nice.
That is just because I'll put in everything I know,
Right.
And obviously, I want what I did to be correct, even if it's incomplete. So my calculation is correct, but it's missing this other part that he put in, and so I was wrong.
Well, see, that's what makes you a scientist and not a Republican. I'm sorry.
And not a
I'm
chef
sorry.
either.
I'm
Not a
sorry.
chef.
I don't
Not
know.
a dick.
Right, and not a dick. Not a dick. Okay. All right, so listen.
Wait, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, the first Republican president. Just FYI. Oh, they switched out. Okay,
Exactly.
yeah,
I was going to say that
over the
there's a history there, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not even going to go there.
What does it matter, sir, Mr. Astronaut dude, the only man who's like been weightless orbiting the Earth?
One of 547 people. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Only
That's the astronaut club.
547 people have actually been to outer space. We're not talking about the pilots who get in the atmosphere.
Yeah, people
They're
who-
still in the
Talking
atmosphere.
about orbiting Earth.
Orbiting
Well, no,
Earth.
is it orbit or is it just going to space?
Well, no, going to
Because you had
space.
X-15 guys.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the
50
X-15
miles.
guys, no, they're part
You
of
had
it.
The
and Scott Carpenter, suborbital.
and even Alan Shepard.
Right.
Okay.
So those guys are part of it because they're out of the atmosphere. That's
all right,
the-
all right.
Out of the atmosphere, you've been in space.
Yeah, but if Earth had no wait. If you want to say being in
good,
space is simply being, we'll get back to you in a minute.
Oh, yeah, take
Okay.
your time.
If you want to say that being in space means you left Earth's atmosphere,
Okay.
defined as 100 kilometers up, 62 miles.
Okay.
In principle, I don't have a problem with that, except if the atmosphere were thinner, then being in space would be a little closer to Earth. If we had half the atmospheric pressure we do,
Right.
then being in space would be at 50 kilometers or just 30 miles up. If it had a tenth, then it would be 6 miles up. If we had 100th, it would be 6/10 of 1 mile up. Did I do the math on that? Yeah, close enough. Close enough. If we had no atmosphere,
We'd be here right now. But
we'd all be astronauts.
Right.
So therefore,
And if I had $1 million and I was a better lover, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
okay. So
sounds like another show.
yeah. We reserve that.
We need to go there.
Call in the counselors for that. We'll call in the counselors.
Not right now. Not right now.
So that's why I want to think of space
Yep.
as those who have achieved orbit.
Okay. Do me a favor. Wait.
Which is a definition independent of the atmospheric pressure here on this planet.
Okay, that's actually a very good.
This is cool.
That's a qualifying statement, and I like it.
What is it? Do we have a minimum altitude to attain orbit? Is there a?
Well, you don't want, otherwise the atmosphere burns, messes with it.
So where we?
So, no, in principle, I don't know why you can't do orbit 100 miles up. What's that?
We're all in space.
Ooh.
There's Carter Emmert.
Voyages.
Carter Emmert letting us know the real deal. We're all in space all the time.
It might be to see the lowest altitude orbit we've had with the shuttle.
could be
'cause
sustained.
It's pretty low.
Yeah.
So you are one of
people.
533 people who have actually been
orbited, yeah. There you go.
been in space.
Yeah.
According to Neil deGrasse Tyson, you have one of 533.
My definition of space.
It's an interesting definition. You're going to cut out a few people. But
I understand that, but it's tough. It's tough. Okay, so here's my point. So let me ask you: if you breed yeast in space, it's just breeding at 0 G. Is there anything that you think would be different in space? There's a higher radiation.
Yeah, but probably it'd be interesting to see how they did this. If it was exposed, if it was, it probably was not outside. It was, I don't know. I'm guessing it might have been on a space station flight. I don't know where they, where they got this. So I don't know enough about yeast. Does yeast grow like what is it? Is it a plant? Because I know we've grown plants. What the heck is yeast?
Okay,
How do you
so
grow
what
it?
is? You have no idea what you're talking
I have
about.
no idea what I'm talking about. What is it? When you grow yeast, how do you grow yeast? It's like a.
Well, let me ask you a different question.
It's not a growing plant, is it?
Well, you're the astrobiologist
Is it?
because
It's a
it
plant.
is like a plant.
Okay, so for plants, for
But we have
example,
40% of our DNA identical with that of yeast, don't we?
but it grows.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
So if it grows, what would be interesting is that
That's why yeast grows on our bodies. It's
Does
just
it have a heavy? Does
perfectly
it have a
happy.
heavy stalk or anything? Okay.
It's physically very simple.
Okay. So but it
cells.
grows. You'll see. What do you see? You see like a plant. Help me out here.
It's just cells. It's just a mass of cells.
Okay. So it's not really like it's not like a sunflower.
Very little structure. No.
Okay. All right. So that's
It's simple.
All right. Simple. So I don't think it would grow
It
much
just
The
differently.
yeast consumes sugar.
Bread
because-
rise
It can.
and women very uncomfortable.
And I bet-
Somebody had to go there.
You know what?
Somebody-
You can boo me all you want, but I didn't say anything and you got exactly what I was talking about.
So I would think it grows. I think it sounds like a little experiment that would grow the same way. If it was a plant, like growing a plant like a sunflower. Sunflowers have been grown in space. So a sunflower on the Earth has a big stalk. It's really, really large. It doesn't need all that strength in space. It doesn't need that to hold itself up. So it grows with a very thin stalk and it kind of winds itself around. It's very interesting. But I'm thinking the yeast is probably
these are yeast-
not much different.
So it might be kind of a gimmick, but it's good beer.
It's good beer.
Yeah, so that would mean
And it did get more radiation. It did get more
a little more radiation. But so these are yeast that are the yeast in here have their lives traceable to yeast that were created in space.
Yes.
From yeast that was originally from Earth.
Right.
From Earth's surface.
I think it's a novelty.
It's a novelty.
But it's not
and
gonna
you
change
give it to
anything.
them as a novelty
Yeah.
for sure.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think they actually admit that it was a novelty because they say that the reason why they did the entire novelty, the experiment, whatever you want to call it, is because they want to show people that they're about exploration.
Okay.
It's all about exploration.
That's a good thing.
So that was the entire marketing goal.
Who are these guys? Are these
know?
friends of yours or something?
No, I don't know them at all.
Really?
No.
And they just gave us free beer. And then we
talking
got-
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
We're easy.
They were in the street. They
really
handed us free
easy.
beer.
we're just
free
easy.
beer, man.
Right.
That's
Free
all
beer.
it takes.
Right, exactly.
And we'll do a whole freaking
Exactly.
show about your product.
I just murdered my
Yeah.
mother
Yeah.
because I wanted
He said,
to.
"Hey, drink
Really
this, and you'll
easy
be
here.
in space, man."
All right, let's so this is the world premiere of
Of the Astrobiologist Blues, written by Chuck Nicewiz.
No one was supposed to know that part.
Well, but I co-wrote it to some degree.
Okay, good. So you messed around with it. That's
I messed
great.
around with it, but really the
an official term.
inspiration is
messed around by.
Messed around by Dr. Funky Spoon.
All right.
What's the name of this again? This is the.
the
Astrobiologist
Astrobiologist
Blues.
All right.
All right, let's do it.
So
It's going to be interesting. We're
it
looking at
goes
astrobiology, I bet.
something like this. Everywhere that I go, it's dark. What do you do? Well, I look for life in the cosmos. Maybe that life's looking for you. Are we alone? Maybe, but not for long. Well, I got those astrobiologist blues. That's why I sing this song. When the aliens come, well, Will they come in peace? Or will they make us their pets and put us all on a leash? Oh, are we alone? Maybe, but not for long. Well, I got those astrobiologist blues, and that's why I sing this song. Gotta take care of this planet,
Yes, sir.
'cause it's all we got.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me.
No, we can't move to Venus,
we
because
can't.
you know it's too damn hot. Oh, are we alone?
Good pizza, though.
I can't tell you without a doubt.
How are you going to tell me that?
Well, are we alone? I don't know, but I'll tell you how we're gonna find out. Tell you how we're gonna find out. Well, we've got to explore all the potentially habitable planets in the solar system, anywhere where there is or was liquid water, energy, organic molecules. This includes the clouds of Venus, the subsurface of Mars, the oceans of Jupiter's moon Europa, Saturn's moons Titan and Enceladus, and even a possible interior ocean of Pluto. Meanwhile, we need to search 100 billion exoplanets in the Milky Way galaxy for signs of life. In order to do this, we'll need to develop the next generation of space telescopes and spectrometers so we can examine those alien atmospheres and search for the chemistry produced by life forms interacting with their environments. These new instruments will not be inexpensive, but they may allow us to finally answer the age-old haunting question, are we alone? So in short, kids, if you want to know if there are any aliens, write to your congressperson and tell them to increase funding for astrobiology. Thank you.
Dang.
That was great, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
That was awesome. Who wrote all that?
No, let me tell you something.
Who wrote that thing?
I am pretty sure that everyone can tell exactly which part I wrote. And which part I didn't.
That was awesome.
No, that was
You
great.
been rehearsing a lot or what?
Yeah.
No,
That was just
Come
it.
on,
That was
Dr.
great, man.
Funky Spoon. That is Dr. Funky Spoon.
And Chuck Nice.
Yo, good shit, man.
That's awesome.
My man, that was fantastic.
This is a blast. This is a lot of fun.
You know what this one does?
It's a good deal.
Startalk All Stars is all about. A lot of fun.
And Mike, thanks for coming over. You were at the Intrepid earlier.
I was. I had an event
We have to
over
share
there.
you with your job.
Every once in a while, you got to do something else. But I'm really glad I got to be here. And
Yeah,
and
Intrepid,
got to
the
be a part
World
of
War
it. It's
II
awesome.
aircraft carrier parked
Yeah.
on the side of Manhattan that has the Enterprise.
The Enterprise shuttle is
space
there.
shuttle,
And a lot of great other things going on. So I was over there early, but really happy I got a chance to be here and see you guys. It's
Thanks for
great.
coming over.
Oh, thanks for having me. A pleasure.
And just so people remember, you were the first person to tweet from space.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
And so in 1969, Neil Armstrong said one small step for man.
Yeah.
And your first tweet from space was what?
Not as good. They made fun of me on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I said launch was awesome. And on Saturday,
That's what you said?
I said launch, and I said some other things too. But on Saturday Night Live that weekend, while I was in space,
Wait. You're on a
fun of me.
$300 million spaceship in orbit. The taxpayers put you up there, and you pull out a.
what it cost? Jesus.
And the first ever historic
What
tweet.
you say?
Like, I just needed a ride. I just
That's
needed a ride.
expensive, man.
So you said this was awesome. The launch was awesome.
I said launch was awesome. I'm feeling great. The adventure of a lifetime has begun. I wanted the people of Earth to know I was feeling great. I thought
By
that
the
was
way,
important.
that is not a bad tweet.
That's not
No, it wasn't bad, but they made fun of it. Look, it was good. They made fun of it on Saturday Night. They go, in 40 years, it was his 40th anniversary, you hosted the celebration
Oh, I
we
did.
had in Washington. You
Yes,
remember
yes,
that? That was
at the-
awesome. And all those guys were alive back
The
then.
Urdvor Hazy Center.
No, actually, I'm thinking of the one at the main,
the
at the main
one
museum.
at the main.
Wait a minute.
It was the 40th anniversary of the
Of the moon
Apollo
landing.
of
I
Apollo
was like
11.
MC of that event.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? We had just come back. When I was, they said for 40 years we've gone from. We had to stop. Are we recording anymore?
No, we're
They
still
said,
recording.
We've gone from one small step to one small step for man, one
Mankind,
giant leap for mankind.
mankind.
We've gone, and this is Leap Day, by the way.
Yes,
so
it
this
is.
is like a
Today.
giant
Today,
leap.
right now, where we're taking
giant
this.
leap.
Right, and we've gone in 40 years. We've gone from that to launch was awesome. If this guy ever meets aliens, this is how we'll find out about it. Jeez, dudes, look, aliens.
That's
They made
messed
fun
up.
of me.
So anyway,
but
here's
it was
what,
my
first of all,
kids.
that's
My
not a
kids
bad
started
tweet.
paying attention to
That's
the
not a
flight,
bad
so it was
tweet.
good. No, it wasn't bad. It
So
was
now
good.
here's
was
what I
happy
want to
with it.
know, because you are in this club of people who are part of
We're
this
very fortunate people. We're very fortunate
a very
people.
esoteric group. That quote, one small step for man,
Yeah.
one giant leap for mankind.
Yeah.
Was that indeed pre-written,
I
predetermined,
asked him that.
and rehearsed?
I asked the man that.
I just want to know.
First time I
let's
met
remind
Neil
everyone who
Armstrong,
him
I
is.
asked him, what's that? Neil Armstrong, the man,
yes.
the first man on the moon. He came and spoke to our astronaut class
Yes.
our first week at NASA.
Yes.
And it just so happened around the little buffet thing we had there, he's standing next to me, my big hero.
By accident. Yeah, right.
By accident.
Yeah.
But he's standing next to me, and I asked him about that. When did you think? Because I thought, did you hire a publicist? When did you come on? He said he didn't think about it until after the landing, because he wasn't sure if they were going to make it, and he didn't want to think about anything before the landing, and he worried about that. He thought about that after they landed. Think about that.
Yeah, but
those guys were not sure they were going to make it. In fact, the first 3 Apollos, right, Neil? The first 3 were all the same flight because they didn't know if the first guys were going to make it. So once they made it, then Apollo 12, they came up with a different.
that after they landed
On the
before he
moon.
stepped out.
On the moon, he came up with that. He wasn't going to
Okay.
think about
I'm
anything
impressed.
except for the landing.
Badass.
Well, that is badass.
That
That's
man
badass.
is.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, and they barely
most-
made it
one of
as
the
it
most
was,
amazing
right?
guys
So-
ever.
Yeah.
Really is, and just a amazing pilot, amazing person. Anyway,
So
you asked me that.
No, I'm
me and
really
Neil
wanting to
Armstrong
know.
like that. Did I tell you that?
Did you know him? I mean, he must
Well,
have.
maybe we were like that.
Well, I'm sure, but you did their big 40th celebration.
Yeah,
He
no.
died not that long after.
Not that long
a
after.
few years after.
I first met him in 1973.
Wow. Where were you
And
in?
how did you meet
You're
him
in.
in
You were what in?
1973?
Now
you're
you're
in high
interested.
school, man.
Now you want to know.
You were like a little kid. He's the man.
Actually,
is
you were a little kid in
Neil Armstrong, Neil
1973.
deGrasse Tyson,
I met him.
Neil's
Like, hey,
men.
my,
met him at-
my name's Neil too.
I met him at the bar
Yeah.
of the SS Canberra, the 4th largest ocean liner in the world, which
Wow.
was retooled
Uh-huh.
to become a floating science laboratory to go from New York
Yeah.
to the coast of Northwest Africa to observe on June 30th a 7-minute long total solar eclipse.
Wow.
I was on that ship at age 4. What was I?
43.
I was 14.
Yeah.
I lied and told everyone I was 16. And I had my own telescope.
By
with me.
yourself?
I was
Your
by
parents
myself.
weren't with you?
Well, there was 1,800 other people.
No,
on
but
the
not your
ship.
parents.
No,
You
my
were
parents
by-
were there. I was alone.
Wow.
I was alone. And I had my own telescope. And during the eclipse,
This is awesome.
it is a forest of telescope tripods on the deck after they'd taken off all the shuffle boards and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah. All right.
and the lawn chairs and everything, or the whatever, the deck chairs. And so he was one of the sort of celebrities
Neil was there,
brought onto
man.
the ship. And I hadn't fully appreciated, he had just freaking, like the Apollo
Yeah.
thing had just ended in 1972.
Yeah, right.
And so, but he was there. No one was hounding him or anything.
Yeah.
And I got him to sign my
Yeah.
little the brochure for the trip. And so that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yo, that's so cool.
Amazing,
And
amazing person.
so it turns out his son, who's my age, was
Yeah.
on the ship at the time.
Oh, cool.
Now I'm
Yeah.
friends with his son. So yeah,
Very nice.
so I had a few. I mean, we met
Yeah.
a few times. I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm exaggerating when I say we were like that. We were really like that.
No, but still, I mean, getting an encounter with him at that sort of age.
Yeah.
He
And
was
Did
it,
that
man. For those
inspire
who-
you in some way?
No, I was already. I'm on
He already
a
had it.
freaking eclipse cruise.
He's on a freaking cruise with a telescope.
Now I'm going to be interested in the universe.
I mean, even if I were on a cruise at 14.
Hey, well, let me ask you then. When exactly did I want to know? Okay, because the way you and I did a thing on CBS this morning, and I said the reason why I like Neil deGrasse Tyson is because he talks about the universe the way I talk about sex, and I'm serious. I'm not even joking. That's so. What?
You have to
Well, that's funny
explain.
because I
You're
was
gonna have
once
to explain that.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, because I was once on Jon Stewart and I was talking about Mars, and I was talking about at some time in its past, it was clearly sort of wet and fertile and might have had life. And I'm using these terms, and then Jon Stewart said, "Why is it that when you talk about the universe, I get horny?"
Right.
So that was
Exactly.
Is that what's happening?
what- is that
That's
what's happening?
well, I don't know if I'm getting horny, but then
Yeah.
again, honestly,
Yeah, that's good to hear.
so what exactly was the moment, if you can actually cull it down to a moment?
Oh yeah. It was a moment.
And I want to know this from each one of you. What exactly was the moment for you personally when you knew, my God, this is it?
That's not exactly what I said at the time, but yes.
Okay.
No, I just didn't say my God. That's not we're not the words.
I got it.
Look, I was 9 years old.
Right.
And what did you say?
I was 9.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything because I was in the darkened silence of the Hayden Planetarium.
Wow.
The show was unfolding.
Whoa.
And the lights dimmed, the stars came out, and I thought it was a hoax.
Really?
I had seen all 12 stars from the Bronx, where I grew up, and there was way too many stars to match up. I said, it's a nice hoax, though. I'll go along with it. And at that moment, I was starstruck. I have no other way to say it. And I said, is this a thing? One could do this? Is this and it would take 2 years. By age 11, I had an answer to that question that adults always ask children, that annoying question. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, yeah.
I said astrophysicist. That kind of shut him up like that, right? Because it's usually, I want to be a doctor. Oh, Aunt Matilda's a doctor. I say an astrophysicist. Nobody knew. That was the end.
That was it.
That was it. That was
Only
it.
one in the family.
So I think the universe chose me because I was helpless in the presence of this silent darkness. The universe grabbed me, and I've known no other pursuit since.
You know what? If
And
I
now
was
you're
11
back-
years
you're
old,
back there now.
all I'm gonna say is
This is amazing.
Oh, yeah, now
if I was 11 years
you're
old
in
and
the
the
place.
universe grabbed me, I would have called child first. Show me on the doll.
That's a different.
Where
Oh
the
my
bad
God.
universe touched.
Yeah. No, it's no good.
All right, so now wait.
Wait, so now I'm director of the place. What's it?
That's
Right,
great.
it's a
Which is
story.
amazing.
No, that plays well in small towns. New York, people don't care.
That's not true.
Talking
I
about.
say, I was a kid. I was in.
Now,
Everyone
we're
went
all
to.
here in New York.
Everybody
right?
went
now
to.
you're
Hayden
wrong. You're
I don't
wrong.
give a crap.
Sorry,
I'm
you're
glad I-
wrong.
I'm
You're
glad
wrong.
I
You're
got
wrong.
to hear
All
the
right, so now
story.
wait a minute. That's a great story.
That
This
is
was great.
awesome.
All right, so now wait a minute. We
What an
got two
awesome
more stories.
story.
We got two more stories, and we're going to wrap it up. But seriously, because that was fantastic, and I think it's really great for people to hear the fact that, and I believe this. Everyone knows the way you knew. Everyone knows. It's just that something seminal must happen to push you in that direction. But everyone knows, and what normally happens is you tell somebody and they go, man, you out your mind.
Right.
Ah!
Right, exactly.
So now,
So just to put closure on this.
okay,
Even though my last sentence sounded like closure, I can close it even better.
okay.
To this day,
This day.
every day I walk into my office, I have a duty and an obligation, and it is my honor to have both of those operating simultaneously to serve the next generation who walk through those doors the way the educators and scientists served me.
Nice.
Oh man.
Yo, man, that's a nice button to
it.
put on that.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a mission.
That's all I'm saying.
So what you're saying is the inspiration drove you to a mission. I mean, seriously,
That's all I'm
what
saying.
happened. That's amazing.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, so now, okay, astrobiology.
By the way, my story is not uncommon among my colleagues. FYI.
We're gonna find that out right now.
Okay, that's why you have like amateur astronomy groups that have like kids that are part of it. Okay, are there amateur lawyer groups? I don't think so. Amateur neurosurgeons? No. Amateur astronomy are like experts in the night sky, and it's all ages, and we're all part of it. Am I lying?
You're
I'm not dying.
But this is my point. What you just said right there. Okay, the fact is, we're sitting here with there are 4 people here. 3 of us have extraordinary jobs, and we know who they
Who
are.
you leaving out, man?
Hey, my job's not so
I
bad
think-
either.
And we know who they are.
Who are you leaving out? You're not leaving out you, are
3
you?
of us have extraordinary jobs. So now what I want to know.
Just because I don't live in New York?
So here's my point. So, boom, that's one story. Astronaut, astrobiologist. How did that happen?
Comedian. I mean, but you followed a dream too, man.
You know what?
It was a little different.
Chuck,
different
I don't want to
path,
live
but
in
I
a world, certainly not a country, where there aren't comedians
Yeah.
who have committed their lives to making others laugh.
Well, that makes one of us.
Here we
I'm
go.
joking. Okay. So, no, I want to know this because it's important. Astronaut, how did
Yeah.
that journey happen? I think
When
it's very cool.
I was 6 years old when they walked on the moon. All right, almost 7.
There you go.
July 20th, 1969. To build up to that, I can remember. You know, I remember Apollo 10 going down low and not landing on the moon. But Apollo 11, watching.
Wait, that deserves some statement.
There's a
Apollo 10
That's right.
went to the moon,
Correct.
deployed the
Lunar module.
The lunar module went down towards the surface,
Right.
hovered, and then went back up and came
Right.
back to Earth.
Right.
And I would have said, and I, you know what I would have done?
Landed.
I said, Houston, I can't hear you. Houston, okay, we should land, right? Right. See, I don't know that I would have been a good law-abiding astronaut.
Think they put fuel in the ascent stage on that one? You guys are stuck there now.
That was a very good. That was a very good astronaut joke.
Yeah, that was good.
You know what I mean?
Fuel in the ascent stage.
Yes, I wish we had
No, you
time,
got to get
but
off the
that
moon.
was a very good astronaut.
And
That was a good astronaut
this is
joke.
part of the deal with Neil Armstrong. They had to come back. You know, they landed. Same thing with Mars. You go to, you got to come back. Coming back is another launch. Something else is going wrong. Engine don't work. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. So Apollo 10 and Apollo 8 when they first orbited the moon. Apollo 10 when they almost landed, but there was no plan to do that. And then Apollo 11 was the big mission. And I remember seeing that on my TV set and looking outside in my front yard and looking at them. I mean, when you saw it on TV, Neil, you can remember this. You guys may be too young for this. But when you saw that on TV and you walked
To be clear, on a
outside,
12-inch black and white TV.
little black and white TV, black and white TVs, right? That's what it was. And it was at, I guess the EVA was probably around 9:30. It was nighttime, close to
Extra vehicular activity.
the moonwalk.
Moonwalk, thank you.
They launched, you know, they
This is the
launched,
moonwalk that
landed, did all
precedes
that.
Michael Jackson's moonwalk.
Right,
Yes,
and I've seen you do the other moonwalk at that moon ceremony.
I had 12 new moonwalkers in the audience. I
It
got a
was
moonwalk
really
in front of
good.
them.
It was really good.
all
You
I
had
can
all
do.
12 of them there.
I had almost
12
every
dudes.
all the living ones were there. Yeah.
All right, so but I remember going outside and looking at the moon and saying there are people up there,
Nice.
and I love those guys.
Oh my God.
Those Neil Armstrong and Mike Collins and Buzz Aldrin and all those astronauts from that era were my heroes, and I said I want to be one of those guys. And
Nice.
so it's interesting, you know. I remember coming to the Hayden Planetarium as well when I was a little kid. My parents taking me there. I grew up in Long Island, but for me, I wanted to be one of those people. I wanted to be one of those guys, and I had no idea how that was going to happen. I was just a little kid on Long Island, no idea, but I thought they were it.
That's fantastic.
So,
all right, this is our last story.
Funky Spoon.
Funky Spoon, astrobiologist.
Yeah, well, similar to what Mike said, actually, my earliest vivid memory, actually, I mean, I have other early memories, but my earliest really vivid memory is Apollo 11 landing. And my parents let me stay up real late, which probably was partly half of what was as exciting as, but the black and white TV and seeing these guys walking on the moon, that to me was, I think, really a life-changing experience. It was so exciting and it was real. It wasn't fiction. It was this adventurous, amazing, groundbreaking journey. And even at that age, I was in fourth grade, I guess, and I really just, my mind was blown by that. I'm definitely a child of Apollo, and that, I think, set me on my life course. I became really caught up in the romance of space exploration. I was really enthralled by the early planetary missions, the first missions to Venus, the first orbiters on Mars, seeing those pictures come back. Now, I had kind of an unusual upbringing, actually. My dad's best friend when I was a kid was Carl Sagan. And so Uncle Carl...
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Your dad's best friend was Carl Sagan?
Yeah, they
That's
were
a big-
they were both Harvard professors.
And wait a minute.
and-
You started this story with a moon landing?
Well, but no, it started from the moon landing. But then the fact that Uncle Carl was involved in these this was before he was famous. He was Uncle Carl, this really cool guy, you know, and he would come over with like the latest pictures of of Mariner 9.
Billions of
Yeah,
nephews.
exactly. and he was doing this really cool stuff. And then also I got really into science fiction, and I think in my young mind I didn't really differentiate between like 2001 and the space fiction and the real space stuff. It was all just exciting, romantic stuff, and it was the future.
2001: A Space Odyssey, the film.
The film. It was all what we were going to be doing in the future, and we were going to be, that was what it was going to be like. And now here we are in the future, and we're not sending people to Jupiter yet, but I've been able to be involved in spacecraft exploration of the other planets, and for me, that feels in a very real way like I've been able to, in a sense, go into space. We were talking about this earlier with Carter Emmert from the museum, who does the astrovisualization, where even those of us who haven't
Has Carter been on here yet?
Yeah, we had Carter
good.
on today.
Yeah,
Carter,
It's fantastic.
Carter does for that next generation what his counterparts did back when I went. So
Yeah.
I could sit here with the title of director, but we got people actually make the
God,
stuff.
you're absolutely right. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize that.
So those of us who haven't been into space like you, I feel like
very
we've
exciting what you just
participated in this way that's becoming more and more real because we can visualize it in 3D. We send the machines out, they send back the... Not that, I mean, I still think there's a role. I want people to go to Mars and stuff, but I also think it's really cool that more and more of us are participating in this way that we're being able to actually, in some sensory way, experience it.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's very real. I do feel like I have, in a way, been able to participate and go into space.
Fantastic.
Part of my brain's been there, even if my body hasn't been.
Well, you both
Let's hear it for space.
Yeah, let's hear it for space.
All right.
This is Startalk.